Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so last week we did talk about communication, and this week it's sort of like an addition to that. So the funny thing is that every single time that I meet someone new and we start talking about dating and what they expect and their issues and so forth and so on, for some reason, this always comes up every single time. And I probably have already mentioned it in a past podcast, but you know what? I feel like I need to address this because it could change someone's life, essentially. If you let it. So people, because this goes both ways, men and women, they always say, I only attract X. X being assholes, bitches, gold diggers, guys who only want to have sex with them, narcissists. And I have to stop them right there. Because, like I said, I've probably already mentioned it before. But if you don't know, I'll tell you. See, it's not whom you attract. It's whom you choose. Not who you attract. It's whom you choose. And if you really understand that point, like really get it in there, it could essentially change the way that you see dating and that you see the people that you attract, so to speak. Now, so many people think this way, and it's like, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Like, why do you think that you only attract these people? Some say it's their look. Some say, it's just who they are. It's just their personality. And it's like, okay. The funny thing is, you probably attract way more people than you can even understand. The problem is, it's not whom you're attracting. Again, it's whom you're choosing. Because if you have a type, right, and you constantly date like the same type of person, give or take, and that person is a narcissist or is a gold digger or is only looking for sex and so forth and so on, then maybe that it's a pattern within your own self, like your own dating hygiene. It's within your own dating hygiene because you continuously are drawn to these people. And the question isn't whom you attract. It's not even whom you choose. It's why are you choosing these people? And in a lot of people, okay, the answer is because of what you're used to. It's like what you know, as the saying goes, stick with what you know. And if you, because obviously this is more directed to people who have been around for a little bit. If you happen to have been in a long-term relationship, maybe even married to someone who's a narcissist or to someone who essentially didn't appreciate your other qualities other than your physical ones, or someone that you had to use sex to get their attention, and I mean, essentially the list goes on and on and on and on, right? But if that's what your past was, and then you find yourself, going out into the dating world and finding these similar people, it isn't whom you attract. Now, I can understand why it looks that way because you want to point the finger out there, not over here. And this is why I've said it a million times. It always comes back to you, and it always starts with you, and it ends with you. So if you're going out into the world and meeting people and dating them, and you see it like there's a pattern to the people whom you continuously date, and it's always, someone that's X, it isn't them that's the problem. It's you that's the problem, and you need to address this. See, this is why in the first bunch of episodes of this podcast, I mentioned it so many times thereafter that if you know what you're ready for, and I know this is like a very deep question because there's so many people out there that have absolutely no idea what they're ready for. I mean, there's some people that I talk to that it literally changes every day. You know, one day they're ready to date, the next day they figure something out and they're not ready to date, and so forth and so on. And you have a good idea of what you're looking for. And like in this scenario, this is like the more important fact is knowing what you're looking for or having a very good idea of what you're looking for. And just as important, have a very good idea of what you don't want. So if you look at your life and you're saying to yourself, hey, you know what? I always date guys that are narcissists. Okay. Now, you're going to have to do a little bit of homework. What is a narcissist? Or what are the like specific traits that always happen when you meet someone and date them? You know, chances are they love bomb you and then they do this and then they do that and they do that and they do this. Okay. Well, I don't want that in a partner. So maybe write this shit down, first of all, because it helps you remember it. Not to mention you have a record that you can go back to and say, hey, listen, you know what? I remember I don't want this. And essentially you start making these things hard barriers, not barriers. Silly me. Shit, what's the word? Not barriers. Oh crap, it'll come to me. I hope so. Shit, not barriers, hard. Either way, barriers works for the time being. And essentially, if someone boundaries, I knew it was going to come back to me. Told you. Okay, hard boundaries. So that if somebody you meet and you start talking to them and they start love bombing you, and I can understand because the whole idea of love bombing and why it works is usually because of who you are and who you are like in your head and the way you see yourself and you're self-conscious and all these other things. Because if you find value when people love bomb you, then again, this is a you thing. This is a you problem. This is like going deeper than, you know, I was hoping to go talking about this. But again, if somebody's love bombing you and you like it and enjoy it, and if you think about it logically, like, wait a minute, this person says that I'm like the greatest in the world and they don't know how they live their life without me and blah, 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 blah. But I've known them for a total of like 6 days and we went out on like one date. Does that make sense? No. Love bombing. Boundary. No narcissist. No love bombing. Person's love bombing me. I'm out. Done and done. And see, now you're going to find yourself not perpetuating that circle. And you're going to find different people. Or you might be attracting different people because you're going to be choosing different people. And see, like, that's the key. Again, knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want, having a record of this. And I will say it every single week if I have to. I mean, the same thing with, like I was saying about communication. And see, when you say things like, I only attract these people, right? You're essentially passing the blame off to the universe, essentially. To some other entity and not to yourself, even though you're the one that's saying, yes, I'll go on a date with you, or yes, like, here's my number, let's talk, or, you know, yes to whatever else. It's you that's agreeing to these things, but you're passing off the blame to the universe. Now, I don't know if I should really say this, but in my book, Fate is Bullshit, A Logical Guide to Happiness, the key to everything is accountability, okay? And this is like a big part of that because you absolutely 100% need to be accountable. It's your life. It's whom you're dating. This is all on you, right? So if somebody comes along that you don't like, why are you agreeing to get to know them? Why are you agreeing to dating them? Why are you agreeing to any of this? And these are questions that you need to ask yourself This is why you need to have that hard copy of, hey, you know what? These are the things I'm looking for. Boundaries, deal breakers, like 100%, right? These are the things I'm not looking for. Boundaries, 100%. As in, if somebody has one of these qualities, it's see you later. It was nice talking to you. I gotta go. We're done here. And then on top of that, you have to have a written account of how you want someone to treat you, how you want someone to make you feel. These are important things. And if somebody doesn't treat you the way you want to be treated, and somebody doesn't make you feel the way you want to be made feel, then it's on you at that point, right? Because somebody's doing this. This is where boundaries come into play. This is why you need to have like these hard boundaries. Because if somebody comes along and doesn't make you feel the way you want to feel, and you continue on with this relationship, and I've said it last week, and I'll even say it again to you, you have 3 options. Option number 1 is you walk away. No harm, no foul. As in, hey, listen, you know what? This isn't for me. This isn't working. See you later. Option number 2, you can sit them down and say, hey, you know what? I understand that this is new and we don't really know each other that well. I don't appreciate blank. I don't like blank. I don't like when you make me feel blank. And this is how you're making me feel blank. So now that I'm letting you know, it's either up to you to be like, okay, I can accept that, I can change, or I'm sorry, this is just who I am. And then you split apart, right? But at least you're sitting someone down and explaining to them, listen, this is what I need from you. And if you aren't able to give it to me, then we should just go our separate ways. Or option 3, you do absolutely nothing and suck it up and deal with it and tough shit. But again, tough shit, it's your problem. It isn't pointing the finger now saying my girlfriend or my boyfriend does blank, because you know that they do it and you're allowing it to happen. And when I say allowing it to happen, I mean because you haven't sat them down and discussed it with them, or you haven't walked away. Because you can't start dating someone and expect them to change and mold into who you want them to be. You can't do that. You can inform them, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm not looking for. This is how I want someone to make me feel. Can you do this? And vice versa. And it's either that they can or they can't, or you find somebody else. Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there that have a hard time being alone. And because they have a hard time being alone, they will jump from person to person to person to person, okay? And then complain. But it's like, rather than being with themselves, being alone, they would rather have the shitty time of being with someone who they don't really like, or who doesn't treat them well, or who isn't what they're looking for. And then again, that sentence comes out. I only attract blank. And it's like, you're not attracting blank. You're choosing blank. And until you literally drill this into your head, that every single person you've dated was your choice, unless they came to you, put a gun to your head, tied you up into their basement and kept you there, it's been your choice. Okay? Now, if you were treated badly, okay, the first time, that's not your fault. That's not your fault. You can forgive yourself regardless, because you should forgive yourself even with bad decisions that you've made throughout life, including people that you've dated. But if somebody has treated you badly and, the first time, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything to deserve this. Or I would hope that you didn't do anything to deserve it, right? But if they treat you badly 2 times, 3 times, and then you've sat them down and said, hey, hold on a second. Wait a minute. I don't like when this is happening. I don't like when you do this. This is how it's making me feel. And like, it's important that I mention this, right? Because if you're not sitting them down and telling them, then they have no idea. I mentioned this last week too, like within communication, right? Because there's people out there that believe, oh, the right person will just be a perfect fit. And it's like, the right person could have been with somebody else and learned bad habits from that person, and then just goes through life doing these things, and then starts dating you and does these things and has no idea whether it's right or wrong. This is why communication is so important, right? Going back to what I was saying though, you sat them down, you said, hey, listen, when you do XYZ, it's making me feel XYZ. And if that person says then, oh, I'm so sorry, thank you for telling me, I'll change. And then they change. Hey, life is great. Life is great. But if they don't, and they continuously do the same thing over and over again, well, now it comes down to, can this person be what I want? Because it's starting to look like the answer's no. And see, depending at what time this happens in the course of a relationship, it can be easy to walk away from because it was like still fresh and still new. And it's like, okay, you know what? This person isn't for me. And like, it is what it is. Or it's 6 months or 8 months down the line, and now you're taking stock of everything and you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute. Is this really a deal breaker? Is this something that's that important to me? Is this really going to end it? Should I end it? Can I live with it? And then a lot of people, because of, I guess, where they are and being afraid of the unknown, they might say, hey, you know what? It's fine. I can live with this. And in reality, they can't. It's going to bother them forever, and it's going to create like animosity, and they're going to resent their partners. And that's just a whole other like bucket of beans. But at this point, it's like, I rather deal with this than be alone. And when the answer is not that, and the answer is like to be like, hey, you know what? I've asked this person to change. They obviously cannot. And I can't deal with this anymore. And more times than not, this is what ends relationships. It doesn't end it when it first happens. It ends it down the line when, all their shit gets piled on and piled on and piled on. And then eventually there's like that one event, that one piece of straw that breaks the camel's back, right? Because you continuously attract the same people, blaming the universe. So yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I would love for you all to really think about this, because everybody says it to me. Nobody, not one single person has ever said, I choose the wrong people. Not one. Everybody that comes across me that we have this conversation, it's, I attract the wrong people. And it's essentially you're blaming everybody else but yourself for what seems to be your own personal mistake. And again, like I was saying, you're with someone, they start treating you badly. You have a decision to make. And it's never an easy decision, especially like I was saying, you go weeks, months into it, and now you're thinking like, shit, now I got to like start dating again and find someone again. And, this person does have a lot of qualities that I'm looking for. Is it enough though? Can I deal with this? These are questions you need to answer yourself. But remember, at this point, it is your decision. It is your choice. It isn't the person. So like, even if you do get into that point and that person hurts you again and then hurts you again and then hurts you again, whose fault is it? The person for hurting you, or you for allowing the behavior to happen, from not removing yourself from the situation? And this is what I mean. It is your choice. It's your choice. So remember, when you're out there dating and meeting people and talking to people, okay, It is your choice. So if somebody doesn't make you feel the way you want to feel, if somebody doesn't treat you the way you want to treat you, if somebody doesn't have the qualities you're looking for, if somebody has the qualities you're not looking for, 3 options. Walk away, talk about it, or suck it up and deal with it and take responsibility that it's your own choice. So when shit hits the fan, you can't say, my partner's an asshole. I mean, they might be. It's, I'm treating myself badly. I'm the asshole because I sit here and take this shit. I don't walk away. I allow this to continue. And I mean, if you don't believe me, think back to your marriage. Why did you get divorced? Because chances are it has something to do with this situation. And if you haven't been divorced or haven't had a long-term relationship or just haven't been this deep into dating, which is possible, ask someone who is divorced, right? Talk to them about their whole relationship, if they're comfortable, but talk to them about their whole relationship. And you know what? Chances are they will tell you, because hindsight's 2020, right? And it always is. When we look back, it's like, I should have known at this point in time. So if you talk to someone who's divorced or who has long-term relationships and then that ended, they will tell you from the beginning, like, oh, it was this point that I probably should have perked up my ears and took notice to what was going on. It was at this point. But then I ended up staying with them for another 3, 4, 5, 6 years, or whatever the case is. And then eventually got divorced because everything was piling on and piling on and piling on. And at some point it was like, okay, that's it. I had enough. Right? So now using that hindsight, looking back, even within ourselves, if we're someone that has these experiences, now maybe we should say, hey, you know what? If this happens again, we should just walk away instead of trying to ignore it or trying to, think that it's not going to be a big deal. I mean, it's the same thing as ignoring it. I know, whatever. And rather than like spending the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, if not years, being with someone that isn't what we're looking for or isn't what we want. The choice is always yours. Okay. Now, me personally, I've mentioned it before. I want 100% of what I'm looking for and 100% of what I'm not looking for and 100% of how I want someone to make me feel. That's me. I understand the consequences of that. I understand that, you know what? Maybe because my standards are so high, I might be single for the rest of my life. So be it. I have a great family. I have great friends. I'm happy. That's the key. Like, I'm happy. Okay, I'm happy being single. So if someone's not going to add to that, then what's the point? And I think the same thing should be for you. But granted, if you're okay with 80%, like if you meet someone and they have 80% and the other 20% is like, it really sucks, but I think that's your choice. But then it's also your choice if down the line you're like, shit, I shouldn't have done it. I should have waited, or whatever the case is. Also your choice. Again, not this is who I attract. It's this is who I choose. I want to drill this into your head. This is who I choose. Be understanding of who you choose. Be accountable of who you choose. And the thing is like when you start dating someone and you're choosing someone, you know nothing about them. And that's understandable. It's when shit starts going sideways. It's when you start to realize, hey, wait a minute, who am I with? Who is this person? I'm starting to see qualities that I don't like. And you can either sit there and talk about it, or you can walk away. Or the third option, you take responsibility for your choices and you say, it is what it is. And if my life sucks, at least it doesn't suck that bad because I'm with someone. Your choice. And then when everybody's standing around in a circle shitting on their partners, which I can't stand. I can't stand, because it's like you're the one that's choosing to be with them. Why the hell are you shitting on them? you can just join in the fun and shit on your partner too. Okay? Okay. I think that's pretty much it for this week. Thank you very, very much for joining me. If you have any questions, would like to get in contact with me, or would like to talk about your issues, you can go to www.joeyfrancis.com. That's JOEYFRANCESS.com. And there you will find more information on my coaching and such, as well as the ability to send me a message and we can talk. Or you can give me ideas for a podcast, for an episode of the podcast, and so forth and so on. Again, thank you so much. And remember, like, go out into the world and make decisions that are best suited for you. But also remember that you are accountable for all the decisions that you make. Till next time.